Hello, family. Welcome. I have a special presentation that I want to talk with you guys about. I'm Pastor Monty of Love Church in Belleville, Illinois, and we're hosting September 10th from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. A Dream of Mine, Man Camp. And I have some brothers here that are leaders of our men's ministry, the Huddles Men's Ministry here at Love Church, and they are going to be the ones hosting it, doing the heavy lifting, getting our young men prepared for this wonderful day. I have to my left here Ryan Gause, and I have Kendrick Bell. Man, how y'all doing?
Doing good.
Good, doing good.
Excited.
Yeah, man, I want to thank y'all for just coming out and just having this conversation. I really wanted to just be just real with the parents and just to have a conversation about why Man Camp is important to us, why it should be important to them. And I'm going to get into all of that in a moment, but I want them to kind of get to know our backgrounds and where we've come from and this journey that we've taken to become passionate about helping young men to become men. I remember for me a couple of years ago, I just began to think about how everything that I've ever learned about manhood coming up, my parents were divorced by the time I was 8 years old. And, when that happens, mom and dad doing their thing. And I just remember in that time, I moved back in with my dad when I was 15 years old. So he just did so wonderful job with me. But in that interim, while they was working their thing out, everything I had to learn, another man taught me how to tie a tie, how to change oil, how to check tires, how to polish my shoes. I began to think, man, who's going to do that for our boys today? Statistics say that 75% of boys, particularly in the African-American home, grow up without a father in it. And I just felt that burden, like, man, we had to do something about it. So I began to share it with you guys, the leader of the Brothers of the Huddle and everything. And man, Ryan and Kendrick, y'all just took it and ran with it. It was on a whole nother level. And so I want to thank y'all before we even get started for just hearing the vision God had given me. And it became you guys' vision. Talk to me about that part right there, Ryan, for you. What inspired you about Man Camp?
I mean, the bottom line is, it seems like God has placed me at a point in my life where I'm always surrounded around young men. I mean, I go back, probably 10 years ago, and my wife was encouraging me to become a coach. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to do it. And I told her she planted a seed, and shortly after, it grew. And I became a coach. I started an organization. I just been around young men, for like 12 years now. And I also teach young men in high school. And when you're around young men, you kind of see, the glaring kind of things that they're missing out on. Just having a man in the house, like the way they kind of just step back and, let the young ladies lead in school. And I'm like, I can really see the gap of them not having a male figure that they look up to, that they really respect. And when you brought that to me, I said, this is going to be perfect. The wheels just started spinning. And as myself and Brother Kendrick started talking about it, next thing you know, we're ready to go. We're excited about it, Man Camp.
Yeah, man, that's great. Kendrick, and just tell me about you, sir. What made you get passionate about it and just grab hold to that vision for it?
Yeah, and I would say just like Ryan, just being around teens and young boys for so long, last 10 years, also in the teaching field, both of us. When you brought it to me, I was like, this is another opportunity for me to give back. It was just give back in areas where I lacked when I was their ages. So I just take it as a big opportunity, just something that will help me fulfill, one of my aspirations is just being able to give back to a young man that might be lacking in the area that I lacked in. Yeah.
Ryan, you talked about seeing some glaring things that were there that were missing. If just out the top of your head, man, can you think of some of the things that you saw they were missing in these different areas of their life, man, that you was like, man, I want to be a part of filling in those gaps?
Yeah. I mean, in school, I really saw that they didn't even trust themselves to be in charge, like to be a leader. When I would come to a young man, I try to put them in a leadership position. They just didn't feel comfortable doing it. That was one thing that I saw, just, empowering young men to know that, they are created to be leaders. And another thing, it's a small thing, like you talked about earlier, you were saying like who taught you how to tie a tie. I teach a class where they have the word ties in. Like, I tell you, 90% of them never wore tie or know how to make a tie, like stuff like that. I'm like, wow, like this the opportunity to teach little small stuff like that. And you can see the pride that they take away once they know that. So those little things like that, boys is really take to it and they take away. And you can take the next time they wear a tie, they come up to me like, you see that? I did that.
Right.
Little stuff like that.
Kendrick, when I hear Ryan talking about trust, and then come back to the pride that they take once they accomplish, like how to tie a tie. I hear the word confidence. That when you see them, and when you've been educated too, sir, I'm sure you experience that as well when you see these boys before you come into their life, where they may be lacking in confidence, but then as they begin to get around you, because I think personally, you tell me what you think about this, Kendrick. I believe there's just certain, when it comes to that confidence, I think only a man can transfer that.
Yeah.
Now, this is not to bash mom. We know the mother's been holding it down.
Oh yeah.
But that's just a certain realm of confidence. We're gonna get into in a moment just how us learning these lessons from men gave us a certain level of confidence. They call it swag now. But do you see that with the boys that you teach and that you educate?
Oh yes, and that's what it's all about. It's really about that give and take, that back and forth interactions that we're trying to build, that trust, trying to build those attachments and those bonds. And I notice that when I am, when I give more time, that bond is formed. And then if that bond and that trust is built, then I can actually teach them something. If they have that and they trust me. And so once I teach them what I can teach them, then I can kind of sit back and give them that power, empower them to do it. And that's where that confidence does come in. So it's a great point.
Because they've learned something, they know it.
Yeah.
Something as small as tying a tie or whatever you're teaching them, they know it.
Yeah. Yep.